Welcome back, Nostra fam. Dicko, round one, done and dusted, son. What do we make of the first round of footy? Do we have a clear top four? Because I tell you what, we got a pretty clear bottom four.
We've definitely got a clear top four teams at the moment. I mean, it's only one game, but yeah, we definitely have top four, and then the rest are trying to keep the head above water at the moment.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Reflective in the team list. A little bit of shakiness in some of the team selections.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a panic moves by the coaches or trying to prove a point. I'm not really sure, but we'll dive into that very shortly. We're going to go through a quick recap of round one. We've already recapped Vegas. Before we do, just a massive shout out to the sponsors who make this show possible: High Caliber Racing, Create, Grip Socks, and Energy Pro. Appreciate all your support. Thanks for coming on board with us again in 2025. Looking forward to a massive year ahead. Now, Dicko, couple of fixtures here. Obviously, we're going to try and be as honest as possible, which may ruffle listeners' feathers, but I think they prefer us not to beat around the bush. First game, Thursday night footy, Broncos 50, Roosters 14. I know you're a Broncos fan. You tend to not be very confident with your own side, which I can totally understand. I think at one point you even said, I think we're in trouble here when the Roosters scored first.
Yeah, we could
And
see
then,
early.
wow.
Yeah.
Was this a case of Broncos were good, Roosters were poor, or a bit of both?
I mean, I think I said this to you actually on the night. I think a bit of both. I thought Brisbane were excellent in patches. I also don't think it was like a really full 80-minute performance.
Yeah.
But I thought the Roosters they were good at times. Like I thought they were okay at times, but they were diabolical at other times. There's no
Defensively,
defensively rubbish, no direction.
it
On
was
fifth
10
tackle
line breaks to
plays.
3.
Yeah, I mean, I think 10 of those were Payne Haas. Like no one could tackle him.
What a beast.
But yeah, I mean the Roosters, no direction on fifth tackle. I think their fifth tackle options were ordinary at best. And Brisbane sort of what I was happy about as you sort of alluded to, I'm a Broncos fan. So what I was happy about was they put them to the sword.
Yeah.
They really that's the mark of a good team is when teams like we'll talk about obviously Melbourne and Parramatta, your good teams put other teams to the sword when they're playing well, and that's what Brisbane did. They went there, they got it done relatively comfortably, and moving on to next week.
Yeah. Look, I think the thing for me that highlighted, it wasn't actually the defense. It wasn't how good Brisbane were. It wasn't how poor Roosters were. And it was something that we actually spoke about in the previews leading up to this season. The kicking games of both sides.
Yeah.
The Roosters are very, very weak in this area. And it is going to cost them, not just against the Broncos, but every single game that they play this season. They are, they got a Sandon Smith and Chad Townsend. Chad Townsend being the stronger of the two. Doesn't have the best kicking game, sort of on his way out. They don't really have anyone else to come in or to swap. They've been, hit with injuries and suspensions. Victor Radley's now missing as well. So they're in big trouble. But I think the kicking game of the Broncos on the other end was impressive. Adam Reynolds that was one of the best games I've seen him play for a long, long time.
And I obviously watch them really closely because they're obviously my team. I support them. So it was really noticeable. He wasn't rushed on fifth tackles. So on previous years, all teams know that the fifth tackle player is going to Adam Reynolds. But Ben Hunt's got such a great kicking game as well. Led the league last year in try assists. And I think also kick try assists.
Yeah.
So they've got two options there. So if you're a fullback, you're not really sure where the kick's coming from, to be honest with you, because both have such a great sort of kicking game. So it'd be interesting when they come up against the good teams and, how they go defense, on fifth tackle then.
Yes.
But I thought that was, as you said, I thought that was the massive difference. Like I think Brisbane had a couple of repeat sets. They scored a couple of tries off kicks. So yeah, I thought all in all that's going to keep them in good stead when they play like top four sides.
Yeah, yeah. Now moving on to the next game. Let's actually summarize the next two games in one. I think they were both two of the worst games I've ever watched in the history of the NRL. And I'm being honest when I say this, they were so average it wasn't funny.
So what made these two games okay is they
Mm,
were close.
they were close, yeah, yeah. From a
It was
non-blowout perspective,
Yeah, it was.
absolutely.
I'm a bit like you. I was sitting all excited for Friday night. How good is it? Two games of footy. I'm in Queensland, so one at 5 o'clock. I mean, how good is that? 5 o'clock footy. How good is it? And then just yeah, let down by the quality. Well, no, I mean, it wasn't horrendous quality, but it was just wasn't exciting. It was more
Yeah,
dour.
the look, the Knights won 10-8, but I'm just going to read out some stats here. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was watching the game, the Tigers actually looked quite impressive in the first
Yeah,
half,
first half. Yeah, yep.
but the Knights completed at 50% in the first half and they
Mm.
finished completing at 64. Now, the concerning part for me is, and I know they didn't have Api Coruscant and Jareem Buller. How much impact will that have? I'm not sure. Them coming back this week, probably a lot. But Tigers fans, I'm really not sure how much they're going to improve purely because I think the Knights are one of the poorer sides in the comp. They won 10-8. It was a matter of, when are they going to hit the lead? They finished at 64% completion.
Mm.
The Tigers was so predictable. They had one line break to 7 in Newcastle's favour, but the tackle breaks 51 to 26. Now, does that bode well that the Tigers defended and scrambled well? Absolutely. And will that
Mm.
help them, you know, long term? Yeah. But even play the ball speed, like 3.5 to 3.7 seconds is normally the norm. The West Tigers were 4.18 seconds. Now, we're only talking half a second here. But on every single play the ball, that extra half a second makes a world of difference. And I
Mm.
think that's what allowed the Knights to be able to just defend their errors because that's all they did. They just made an error. You thought the Tigers were going to punish them, and it was mainly one out. Now, for those avid players of Supercoach and fantasy, benefits Terrell May because he looked like an absolute monster out there. But seriously, it was just one out footy,
Mm.
and Jerome Luai was sort of trying a bit too hard. So was Lockie Galvin. It was a little bit too sideways, not direct enough. So
Yeah.
hopefully they fix up a few things. But yeah, look, not really too much else to comment on that game apart from the better team won. Do they look great this season? At this point, no.
No, I think yeah, I think we got to give the Tigers a couple of weeks. Jerome Luai hadn't played a game, in the preseason. It's a new club for him and a few other players, so I'm prepared to give them a pass mark for that match, to be honest, because in previous years they would have probably got blown out in the second half. They
Yeah,
hung in there and made it close. So, did I see improvement from previous years? Yes. Is there going to be more improvement? You would hope so. I mean,
mm, mm,
they've got some good players that haven't had any footy in the preseason, and it'll be better for the run. Coruscant comes back, so
yes,
yeah, I think Tigers fans can be buoyed. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near the 8 personally, but they'll be buoyed. They're going to have some good performances.
yeah, yeah. Now the Rabbitohs 16-14. Really interested to hear your thoughts here on this one, Dicko, because this game was pretty average, but for the neutral fan, some really fascinating result. I mean, I could not for the life of me before the game see the Rabbitohs even coming close to winning this game. The fact that they won, is that Wayne Bennett factor or is it the Dolphins really need to have a good look at themselves?
Well, I don't know whether the Dolphins have a couple of things went wrong for the Dolphins. Obviously, up here in Queensland, we had a cyclone, a couple of players, and a really important player in Cody Nicarima,
Mm-hmm.
who was probably their best half last year.
Yep.
He decided to stay at home with his family, which fair enough. You can't begrudge him of that.
Yep.
So I felt like that impacted. I feel like if he played, they probably win.
Yep.
But I think it's a typical Wayne Bennett from both. The Dolphins have still got Bennett's DNA all over him. He
Mm,
just makes it scrappy. He makes the contest really scrappy and dour, and it's a bashathon, a defendathon, and it wasn't
mm,
exciting. Like the hammer was nowhere. I thought Herbie Farnworth had by far the worst game I've ever seen him play
yep.
defensively. I thought he was horrendous. Made
Mm,
decisions that he's never made before.
mm.
And South sort of did enough. I mean, if
Was that
someone
because of Junior Tupou, do you think? That new winger?
potentially a new
Yeah.
combination, yeah. And I think he was defending on the same side of Sean O'Sullivan as well. So, normally you would have Nicarima there. So maybe that combination as well.
Was he not right centre last year?
Who's that? Herbie?
Herbie. Yeah.
Yeah, he was right center last year.
Yeah. So he's defending on a different side with a different winger,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I find Souths, if someone shuts down their left hand side attack, I don't know what else they have, to be
Mm,
honest with you.
mm.
It seems
Yeah.
just give it to Cody Walker, throw it out the back, and a sweeping block play, and they score.
I tell
So,
you what, who was impressive, and I just want to shout out one player from each side here. For the Rabbitohs, Jamie Humphreys.
yeah,
I,
yeah, I
I thought he
agree.
was outstanding. He kicked for 732 meters. That is insane numbers there. And in fairness, because the Rabbitohs are lacking so much punch in their side, quick play the balls in Cam Murray, obviously, different halves pairing this year. No Latrell Mitchell out the back. Creativity a little bit low,
Mm,
let's say.
mm,
Poor Tyro Munro's fractured his collarbone again.
yeah,
So he's out for another 6 to 8 weeks. But he kind of got them out of jail in terms of territory and field position for a lot
he
of
played
that
well.
game.
Mm,
And for the Dolphins, Tom Gilbert. Like what an amazing, even though they didn't get the result, what an amazing effort for
mm,
him to come on and make 59 tackles
he's a gun,
in that game
absolute gun.
in only, what was it, uh, 56 minutes.
Yeah, he tackled everything that moved. He made basically a tackle a minute.
Yeah, a tackle a minute. Like, that's just crazy. If he plays 80 minutes, he makes 80 tackles. Like, and first game back in 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
come
yeah.
on. Like, that's brilliant. Bring on State of Origin, I say.
Absolutely. So I've got something for you. You normally throw me under the bus with some of these things.
Yeah, yeah.
So I heard a stat in the first half of this game,
Yep.
around about half time. Jai Gray
Yep.
had 15 or 16 runs in the first half, almost Dylan Edwards territory.
Holy. Yep.
And that was double what Latrell has in a whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So and I actually thought Jai Gray was probably one of the better players on the field.
Yep.
Let's say he continues that form. Does
Mm-hmm.
Wayne have a little headache when Latrell's fit? I,
Look,
I personally would love to see a Latrell Campbell Graham centre pairing and a White and Cody Walker halves pairing with Jai Gray at the back.
geez,
They won't do it.
You
They
have
won't do
really
it.
put me on the spot here.
They won't do it, but I'd love it.
Do you know what? I might even take it one step further, Dicko. Let's
Latrell,
let's throw
Latrell won't get in
Latrell
the
in.
team.
Let's throw Latrell in the halves.
At 5'8".
Yep. Let's throw Latrell in the halves. Let's put Memazelis on the bench as coverage. Jamie Humphreys goes into lock. I think he's a great defender. He made 30 tackles at halfback.
Okay.
30 tackles at halfback.
I like it.
He's an absolute beast. Memazelis has about as much creativity as me as an artist, which is
Yeah.
zero.
Yeah.
I don't think he ran for 1 meter, in fact, throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Which is quite embarrassing, really. But yeah, I reckon throw him in the halves. The problem is Jai Gray is playing too good a footy and deserves to be in first grade. And if Wayne Bennett doesn't look after him, another club will pick him up.
I just don't know whether you can leave him out. If he's playing that well and he's running 15, 16 times a half, like, I don't know whether you can leave him out. I must admit, I mean, you got to
He
have
ran for
Latrell in there.
280 meters.
That's, as I said, mate, it's Dylan Edwards like. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it wasn't just running for the sake of running.
No, he's making good yardage.
Yeah. Actually, you know who was quite impressive as well? Jermaine Osako. Because he sort
Mm.
of died a little bit towards the back end of last season, ran out a bit of steam, but, 2 tries. Surprise, surprise, Herbie Farnworth switches sides and he actually touches the ball. So there you go. But anyway,
Yes.
let's hope they improve for next week. Yeah, a bit of a dire game.
Yeah.
Credit to the Rabbitohs. Actually, another player I want to shout out, Lockie Hubner. What a goer. Is he a Queenslander?
Yeah, he was at the Dolphins last year.
Oh, I'm going to have to look that up to see whether
He,
he's a Queenslander
he
or
was
not.
he was at the Dolphins last year.
He is a goer.
He's followed Wayne.
He is
Yeah,
a
no, he
goer.
played well. He played well. This next match
Yeah.
was good, I'm telling you. It was a good game of footy.
Oh, yeah. So let's get struck straight into it, Dicko. Now, we had the Dragons and the Bulldogs, 28-20. One of our mates prior to the game actually said, you watch Bulldogs will win by 8, so good on him. Maybe he should jump on Nostra for some predictions.
That's it.
Although, just shout out, Dicko, we're now 4 from 8 for tipping
Yeah.
for that first week. We were 0 from 2, so
we came back a little.
mind you, some of the tips, most people would have got right. I think we're
Yeah.
still near the bottom. That's all right. We'll pick it up, mate. Don't worry. We just wanted to give people false hope.
Yeah, that's it.
What did you make of the game? Like, obviously, it was probably the game of the round.
Yeah.
Kurt Mann Shiner. How good was that?
I know, yeah.
He's
a
definitely
good
not entering a modelling competition.
No,
anytime
it's a
soon.
good one. What did I think of the game? I thought a good game. Yeah, really good game of footy. I thought the Dragons were pretty ordinary in the first half, I must admit. Especially the first sort of 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But then they sort of
started okay. It was like sort of back and forth, but that last bit of the first half, yeah, they really lost their way.
Yeah, and then they came good, and they were coming home with a wet sail. Honestly,
I think it speaks a little bit more to the Dragons as opposed to the Bulldogs. Obviously, take nothing away from the Bulldogs. Bit of character from the Dragons because they could have easily killed over there.
Yep.
Because
exactly.
they were doing well. I mean, they only completed at 68%. The Dragons.
Well, that's the experience that Flanagan's brought in, right? It's just to sort of, let everyone on the field know that we're still in it. Let's just keep plugging away. It'll turn.
Now I do have a stat here, and I talk about kicking game a lot. The Dragons halves kicking game, woeful. Absolutely woeful. And I was very bullish that they were pretty much a shoe-in for the top 8. And I'm still pretty bullish about that, right?
No chance.
But the kick return meters, and credit where credit's due, Connor Tracy had a cracker game. 232 kick return meters for the Bulldogs, 92 for the Dragons.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was a relatively even match. So it wasn't like Bulldogs were plugging them in down that end and then they couldn't get out sort of thing, which they were, mind you. But Burton's long kick versus Flanagan and Ilias.
Well, it was Ilias. Ilias was doing the majority of the kicking.
Yeah. And it's a very predictable kick, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
not like chip and chase or go for a 40-20 or there's really nothing to it.
Well, there's no
like you and I
creativity to
could
it,
get a
isn't it?
ball and kick.
I would have thought so.
It's not like, oh yeah, we're going to plug him in the corner or I don't know. It just seemed a bit weird. Like it was almost like conservative a little bit.
Yeah, but in saying that, you are right. In saying that, I reckon a lot of teams at the start of the season will play conservative kicking games. Just put it up. Let's get our kick chase right, defending the line, that type of stuff. So it didn't surprise me the Dragons opted for that tactic.
Yeah.
But
well, here it is.
The execution was poor.
Yeah. So 8 bombs to 2.
I
mean, I don't know what height they class as the bomb, but let's say Ilias probably can't do a bomb. Or the 2 bombs that he did, I don't know how high they went, but 2 grubbers. So in terms of bomb meaning, you've done some sort of spiral bomb or put it at great heights that allows you defensive kick chase pressure to lock them in. There was none of that. It was just sort of midfield nothing kicks for majority of the game. So out of all the kicks they did all game, There was 2 bombs and 1 grubber.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So no creativity, really.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not at all. But
Yeah.
hey, look, it's a decent start for both of these sides. You're definitely not in the shoes of some of the other sides that have got absolutely mauled on the weekend. And coaches are scratching their heads wondering what they're going to do next. And we've seen, a couple of big decisions be made.
Oh, yeah. We can't wait to
Um,
get to them.
and we'll see. Anyways, moving on. Next game. We have arguably, in my opinion, one of the most impressive games of footy from the winning side of the round, and that was the Seagulls 42-12 over the Cowboys. Now, Dicko, I know that you and I both said the same thing here. The Cowboys were a disgrace,
Yeah.
an absolute disgrace. It was 42 blot, by the way. They scored their last 2 tries in the last 10 minutes.
I actually can't put my finger on whether, and I know Manly played well. They played well. They didn't drop the ball, I don't think, at all in the first half.
No, it was
But
42-0 after 54 minutes.
but were they great? And we said this about the Broncos game, and we'll say this probably about the next game too. But were they great, or were the Cowboys just rubbish?
Well, I think that's a tale of a lot of these round one fixtures. It's very difficult round one to sort of judge, were teams awesome or the other teams absolutely diabolical or a combination of both. What I will say is the Cowboys looked lost.
It honestly looked like a game of men versus boys
They
at
looked
one point.
lost.
Yeah.
And where they looked lost was areas that I didn't think they'd look lost in. Now, you would have thought that like Duffy coming in for his first game, might have been the area where, things went downhill. They completed at 85%, the Cowboys.
Mm.
So it wasn't like, they struggled to hold the ball.
Their forwards got mauled.
That's it. There's one forward, McIntyre, who's not even a traditional starting forward.
He actually had a go.
He held his own. And did that come down to rotation from panicking from Todd Payton? Now, if I had $1 million and I had one opportunity to spend that $1 million, it would be Todd Payton first sacked.
So I can't wait till we get to the Cowboys preview of their game, because I've got a bit to say about what they've done and around what you just said.
Well, McIntyre was their best forward. He played 43 minutes. Jordan McLean, 34 minutes. Jeremiah Nanai hooked after 58. Ruben Cotter only played 51. Now, Cohen Hess, he only played 29 minutes. Griffin Neem, only 37. Harrison Edwards, their most inexperienced forward, 46. It just, I actually don't know. I don't know. I really can't explain what it was. I was really happy for Braden Burns. I thought he held his own in a side that lost.
He got a Dally M vote.
Jackson Purdue for me.
Again, I can't wait.
Was rough.
Yeah. I can't wait to look at their preview, because there were some players in there that dead set need to have a look at themselves. Because
11 line breaks to 3. 11 line breaks to 3. And they had a slower play the ball speed. Like, they had worse completion rate than the Cowboys. It was just sort of like the start of the game. I don't know whether it was the message, tactics. I don't know, but okay. You and I both know this, right? You shut down Cherry Evans and Turbo, you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Why do sides not do that?
Well, because your forwards are getting dominated. You can't get to them.
And I don't even know whether it was it the attacking ability of the Cowboys forwards or the attacking ability of the Manly forwards that was so powerful, or was it the defensive? Was it the line speed? Like, what was it?
I don't know. I just don't think the Cowboys turned up, mate. Honestly, I just don't think they turned up.
Were they thinking about the floods? I don't know.
Manly were on, and I to be honest, I reckon.
Oh, they were impressive.
If I'm fair dinkum here, I reckon if they play any other team in the competition, I'm talking about any other team in the comp, they probably win on that
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah.
And they dish up that performance. They probably beat Melbourne and they probably beat Penrith. I reckon.
Probably agree with you.
You know
Probably
what I
agree with
mean?
you.
But that's I don't know whether they can go any further. I don't know whether that's their ceiling, right? Because Turbo was excellent. Cherry Evans was excellent. Their forwards dominated. They didn't have a bad player on the field. So where can they get to?
Well, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. They've got the ability to do it. They got the ability to finish in the top 4 to give themselves a chance. Will they do it? Will they stay fit?
That's right.
That's an ultimate question, isn't it?
That's right.
Now, question for you:
Hey,
who was worse, the Cowboys or the Eels?
the Eels are worse. Eels are
That
worse.
first half was disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. Now,
I actually thought this game was going to end up about 80-0, honestly.
hey, credit where credit's due. They won the second half 18-10, right? Did
Yeah.
Melbourne put their foot off the gas? Absolutely. But, oh man, and I know that when we get to the preview, there's going to be some grillings.
Mm.
But
Yeah, no, there's some. Again, it had a bit of men versus boys vibe, but Parramatta will be better for that because you're talking about the benchmark of the comp. You're talking about a grand finalist, so you know now where you need to be,
well,
right?
this is the concerning part for me. So you look at the scoreline, you look at how dominant the Storm were. 50-50 possession.
Mm.
50-50. Completion rate higher from Parramatta.
It also doesn't tell you though where that possession is. Don't forget.
Of
So
course, of course.
that possession could be coming out of their own end. So
This is the part. Tackle breaks, 41-14.
yeah, I know it was
Like
dead
they were
set.
running through them.
Mate,
Like
they couldn't run through a
statues.
shadow.
It was just
Seriously.
debacle. Were there any standouts? Because I actually thought Iongi was pretty good.
Do you know what? I actually thought you're right. Yeah, I liked the way he went about it. I also thought the halfback for Parramatta, I thought he didn't have a great game, but I thought he kept trying real hard.
Mm.
And I thought Hopgood.
Yeah, Hopgood.
Hopgood. Yeah. I thought
Hopgood.
Hopgood was very good. Again, you know what you're going to get from him. But for
Yeah.
Melbourne, the best player on the field for Melbourne was Cameron Munster. And
Yeah.
that bodes well for Melbourne. It also bodes well for Queensland around Origin time because I feel like I reckon I'm going to throw it out here. He could go close to the Dally M.
Who?
Cam Munster.
Ooh.
Just because I feel like he feels the pressure of Tom Dearden now. Tom Dearden, fantastic for Australia.
As in
Fantastic.
Dally M 5'8" of the year.
No, as in Tom Dearden. He's feeling the pressure of Dearden potentially taking his rep jerseys.
Yeah.
And I reckon he's going to perform at a level we probably haven't seen Munster perform at.
Well, apparently he's lost about 5 kegs. He's cut out the drink again.
Yeah, he was so engaged in that game, it wasn't funny.
He looked fired up, but he also looked quite back to his sort of bubbly self. You could tell he was struggling last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look, let's see what round 2 has in store for us because we're about to preview some of the games now, or all of the games in fact.
Let's get into it because I can't wait.
The Knights versus the Dolphins. What a way to start round 2.
Can we get some decent Thursday and Friday night games?
Oh, seriously. Look, obviously the Knights won 10-8, wasn't impressive. Dolphins lost, really not impressive. Where do we go with this?
Well, I reckon the Knights are going to be buoyed, mate. They're going to be buoyed. They've signed Dylan Brown for 100 years and about $100 million.
What do you think of the signing?
It's the worst contract in NRL history. Seriously. Not barely the amount of money. I got nothing against Dylan Brown because I would have signed the same thing. We would be sitting here telling him he's an idiot if he didn't sign it. I mean, guaranteed 13 mil for 10 years. I mean, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
I'd go and play on the moon for 13 mil for 10 years.
Yeah.
But what are Newcastle doing? $2.7 million out of a $11.5 million salary cap is taken up by 2 players.
Well, they think he's going to be the halfback. Well, sorry, they've signed him I hope they've signed him as the halfback because they've got Fletcher Sharp there, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Dylan Edwards is probably the best defensive half in the comp.
Dylan Brown, yeah.
Dylan Brown, best defensive half in the comp. Fletcher Sharp, one of the most exciting halves coming through, in my opinion. Will they complement each other based on current?
No.
Not a chance in the
No.
world. Does Dylan Brown really need to step up 100% in terms of his control game?
Well, he's the big dog now there, mate. He's the big dog.
He's got a chance, though. He does have a chance now. Mitch Moses is out for another sort of 6 weeks-ish. He's got a chance to work on that craft. Is this going to be detrimental to Parramatta or beneficial to Parramatta?
For this season?
Yeah.
I think it'd be beneficial for them because I mean, I don't know the guy, but I feel like he'll, just from what I've seen on the footy field, he always gives 100%. I might criticise him in areas, and I know you said he's the best defensive half. I thought he was defensively very poor on the weekend. But he always gives his, every player does, but he always gives 100%, 110%. He's always, if someone makes a line break, he's always the one coming over in cover, from the opposite side of the field. So, I think Parramatta will definitely benefit from that this season. I feel like he'll want to leave there on some sort of a good note for sure.
Yeah. Now, Knights, Dolphins, Dicko. Let's just jump straight into the decision here because this is a tough one and we need to really step up this week in terms of tipping. Who is going to get the chocolates here? Obviously, Cody Nikorima comes back.
I'll just check my tips because I actually did them earlier. And I've gone the Dolphins. The Dolphins.
Okay.
With zero confidence.
Fins up, baby. Let's go.
With zero confidence. They've got Cody Nikorima in. Josh Kerr comes back. Mark Nichols comes back.
I better check my tips just to make sure that.
Yeah. So Nikorima comes in. Josh Kerr's back. Mark Nichols is back, which means O'Sullivan goes out of the team. I feel like that with Cody Nikorima, there's at least another couple of tries in him there. Yep. I feel like they'll be better for the run. They've gone to Newcastle early. Obviously, their training facilities currently without power due to the cyclone here in Queensland. So they've gone to Newcastle. I think it was last night. So they're spending a week down there. I think they're primed. I don't think they were too far off the mark last week against South, as we mentioned. I didn't see enough from Newcastle apart from all offense coming from Kalen Ponga.
Yeah.
To give me any confidence at all. So, I mean, the key to this game is the Dolphins shut down Kalen Ponga, they win the game. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And it's Daniel Saifidi versus his brother. This could be fireworks.
Yeah, no, that will be good. That will be good. And do you know what? Like, it's a huge game for both clubs. Like, even though it's only round 2, the Knights have a relatively easy draw, I guess, for the first 3 rounds because they have a bye in round 4 because they play against the Titans. So they've gone Tigers, Dolphins, Titans. Doesn't get much easier than that to start a season. Mind you, pretty high on the Titans, just FYI. For me, a bit like last week, the Knights have to win this game. If they think they're a genuine top 8 side, which I don't think they are, if they're heading in the right direction, is the Dylan Brown signing going to give them a boost? Or I actually think it will. I think it puts the rest of the team on notice, knowing he's coming to the club. Now, I don't know what that means for like Jack Cogger, Jackson Hastings.
Well, I think I know what it means for Jackson Hastings.
Will Price, Tyson Gamble. Like, are they like, okay, well, we're screwed?
Well, Jackson Hastings is not named in the 22. So there you go.
Yeah. And Adam Elliott's back.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, look, let's see what happens. But I'm going to lock in the Knights. Look, again, no
confidence. Oh, I like it.
No confidence. I'm locking in the Knights. I do like how you try to talk yourself into the Dolphins and give yourself some sort of justification.
I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing.
I'm a little bit the same because you're right. Unlike the Dolphins, the Knights, it's just like, is Ponga, he's so good though. Like, he's that good. It's not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, let's
this could be a good game. We've called it arguably rubbish Thursday night footy, but it could actually be a good game.
Well, the best thing is about the games with sides that we think are a little bit weaker, and it's like any code, really.
It'll be
They
close.
tend to be relatively, normally high scoring, because both sides don't know how to defend, chance their arm a little bit. They don't have to change their structures too much because they're up against a formidable offense or defense. So hopefully they throw their arm about, and it's a little bit entertaining. Now, Warriors versus Eagles. Look,
So this is interesting. This game. This is not as easy as what some people might think.
yeah.
Like
I agree.
I'm
I agree.
genuinely, for me, I don't have a clear favorite in this game. I think you got to take a couple of factors. The Warriors, okay, they're coming off the Vegas trip. Firstly, how's that going to impact them? It was a poor Vegas performance. How's that? You're definitely gonna get a bounce back. They're at home. You will get a sold out stadium in New Zealand.
Yep.
And the Seagulls. Okay, can they back that up, that performance against the Cowboys?
If they're not going to play.
If they don't play perfect, what does not perfect for them look like? We don't know what that looks like yet, right?
And hopefully the Warriors bring more to the table than the Cowboys did.
Exactly. And what's how does the travel then impact Manly? Going over New Zealand. How's that impacting them? I don't know. They haven't been on the road yet. So this is not, I mean, on form, you would tip Manly.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to get a huge bounce back from the Warriors.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I've gone Manly.
Yeah. Oh, look, I agree with you, Dicko. I think this is more of a, most people are going to tip Manly, but it's more of where are the Warriors actually at? Like, have they got the ticker and the hunger and the culture to bounce back from a disappointing Vegas trip? Where are they actually at? Because, and we saw in preseason, we saw last season, like some games, they come out and blitz it and look like one of the best sides in the comp. And other weeks you think, my goodness, what happened last week versus this week? We could see that exact same thing. Like, honestly, if the Warriors win, I wouldn't even be shocked about it.
No. I agree with you. And I think if people tip the Warriors, they're right on the money. I mean, it's just that I just feel like Manly, I just can't look past them, and I still have question marks over the 6 and the 7.
And if they want to be top 4, Manly,
these are games they've got to win. These are games they've got to win. Yeah, they've got to win these games.
Now, this next one's a hard one, mate. And I'm trying not to be an idiot.
I just scrolled up then. It's not hard to tip Penrith in this game.
Do we actually need to talk about this game? Because it's, no, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I mean, that's what we do. I mean, Brian Toto comes back, I see. Yep. I was talking to one of the boys at work today, one of our mates. I actually said to him that I fear Penrith could win this by 60. If they get everything right, they legitimately could put 60 on this Roosters team. But in saying that, again, the teams that got hammered last week, you have to expect a bounce back. But Penrith are going to have too much quality. They're too good of a side to not be aware of that. And I just can't see them. I can't see the Roosters getting within cooee of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, look.
Scott Sorensen's in too, is he? Yep.
Yeah. Okay. We don't want to dissect this game too much because realistically, Panthers should win this by 30 or more. Like, being completely honest. The bit... I don't like the Roosters, right? At all. Never have, never will.
This is at CommBank too, yeah. Okay.
This is at CommBank.
Yep.
Which is Penrith's home ground for this season.
That's right, yeah.
Looking at their... Look, they've got Lindsay Collins, right? Fair call. Great player. Connor Watson, same. Angus Crichton, same. If they're on the front foot. But defensively, like you've got the other forwards, Siwa Wong, Nafahu White, Celesi Feketi. Bench, Docker Clay, who I thought was pretty good when he came on last week, to be honest with you. And if it was me, I would actually start Docker Clay, move Connor Watson to lock. That's what I would do
Mm-hmm.
if I'm Trent Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Makatoa gets his debut for the Chooks, come across from the Eels. Blake Steep and Lasalu. Um, it's not good in terms of depth. They were already light on. I honestly don't know where the Chooks are going. Like, where are they going? Like, what is the direction that they're taking? Not just like this season, but in the future. They've signed Reece Robson. That's it.
Well, they've this week they've gone with we're backing our youth. Now
Is
they
this to
thought,
try and save face for Robbo? Do you think?
well, it's funny because he said, well, the Roosters come out and said we've always had the plan to back youth this season.
Mm,
Okay, that's all well and good. So why
yeah,
did you try and sign Ben Hunt?
yeah.
Okay, so you missed out on Ben Hunt, and they also missed out on someone else, and I can't remember who it was.
Do they have a crack at Dylan Brown?
They've had a crack at everyone. They had a
Yeah.
crack at Mitchell Moses,
Mm,
but they had a red hot dip at Ben Hunt, and he turned them down.
yeah.
So if you're back in your youth, why are you going for experienced players? That doesn't make sense. That's a line to me like, you know what? We actually tried and failed to sign a few players, and now we've got to
Mm,
spin it. Now we've got to spin it away because
mm.
we've never tried. Dave Fafita was the other one who backflipped
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
because we've never what's the name? We've never had players backflip on us. So now we
Mm.
don't know what to do.
Yeah, and Joey Manu, Suoliti, Jared Ria Hargreaves, Luke
I heard
Keary.
today that they are begging Jared Warrior-Hargraves to come back.
That's embarrassing.
That's what I heard today.
Yeah, I heard that as well. I just, I mean,
I'm telling you,
don't get me
mate. Who
wrong.
was the coach I said on the chopping block?
Well, we did say Robbo first coach sacked on our page.
That's it.
Here's a question for you. Are they genuine wooden spoon contenders?
Oh, and last week, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yep,
Yep.
yep. What happens if James Tedesco gets injured?
Oh, mate, if James Tedesco gets injured, they are. I'll go as far as to say that they are almost guaranteed the wooden spoon. Guaranteed.
If he's still fit and they're okay, and Sam Walker and Brandon Smith come back in, they will be a better team. Do not get me wrong; they will be a better
Yeah, of
team.
course.
They will not be a wooden spoon team or probably a bottom 2 or 3 team. They'll probably be better than that. I can
Mhm.
see them beating a few of those other teams, but I don't know whether I can see them winning a game if they play like they did last week. Until
Well, let's just. I mean, we're going a little bit off topic here, but I think it's worth noting. They play the Titans. Sorry, they play the Warriors next week in New Zealand, right? Personally, I think the Warriors should win that game, right?
mm-hmm.
Then they play the Titans, who, if they go as well as I think they're going to go this season, the Titans should win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play the Rabbitohs. That's a little bit 50-50 for me, that match. They then play the Broncos again.
Mm-hmm.
Then they play Penrith again. That's 7 rounds. And they realistically might win one game. Might win one game.
Mm.
I would confidently say they're going to lose the other 6.
Yep. Yep.
So, then they start getting into some, better fixtures for them,
But
and their players start coming back. But when you're 1 from 7
1 from 7
or
or 8,
none
yeah,
from 7,
you're in all sorts.
yeah,
You're in
the
all
chips
sorts.
are down, the confidence is down.
Yeah.
This is providing they're all fit, by the way.
Yeah, you're on Mad Monday on August 29 is where you are.
Oh, dear, oh, dear. Anyways, unlucky Chookies. Let's lock in the Panthers. Dragons, Rabbitohs, Dicko. Huge game down in the Gong. I'm going to lock in the Dragons here.
Yeah, so I've gone the Dragons. Yep.
Pretty confident with this one. However, knowing Wayne, and I think the part that sort of gives me more confidence is they know Tyrone Munro now injured and Jack Whiten suspended. So the poor rabbits can't buy a player or buy an injury. Like it's really quite devastating for them. They've got sort of Fletcher Myers in the starting lineup. Bailey Bentley Happe is on debut, and yeah, look, they've really got to say. Actually, a player who impressed me last week, Jai Arrow.
Oh yeah, he was good. Real
He
good.
might be back in Origin as
I
well.
hope so. He's got a bit of dog in him.
Bit of
I
Munro.
love it.
Beautiful. Lock in the Dragons.
So with the Dragons,
Yep.
when were the? I know we looked at last week's game, but we said the Dragons were very good in the second half. Now, what did that coincide with, Diz?
Jacob Little.
Yes.
Jacob
Yes.
Little.
So when is that ripcord going to be pulled?
Do you think that obviously Damien Cook's the captain, right? What's gonna be impacted more? The Dragons season by starting Cook or Jacob Little himself? Because if I'm Jacob Little, I deserve to be the starting hooker at a club.
Hmm.
And there's plenty of clubs that need a hooker.
So the problem is they've made a rod for their own back because they've named Cook the captain. So they can't stick him on the bench. And I actually think Damien Cook would be a really good bench player because he would come on and give you leg speed in the middle when the forwards are tight.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you think they should do a switcheroo?
Absolutely. Without question. 100%. The Dragons were a far better team when Little was on the field last year and on the weekend.
Well, you heard it here first.
Come on, Flano, do it.
Sort yourself out, son.
Yes.
All right, Cowboys Sharks.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, Dicko, just spill the beans. Tell us your thoughts. Just open that esophagus up and give us your vocal cords, son.
Mate, so Todd Payton has pulled Jeremiah Nenai from the 17.
He's playing Q Cup.
And his reasoning was, and I read this earlier, he's a great offensive player, which we know.
Elite.
Elite offensive player, but has flaws in his defensive game. Now, if I look 1 to 17 and the score last week, they've all got flaws in their defensive game. They conceded 42 points in 54 minutes, as you said.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest scapegoat of a pathetic performance I reckon I've ever seen. Because I could name probably 5 or 6 players that shouldn't be in the team that were arguably worse than Nenai defensively. I thought Jackson Purdue was a turnstile. I thought Violea was rubbish. I thought Duffy was rubbish. I thought, John Bateman ran sideways. I mean, does a bloke know how to run forward?
He's a bit of a crab.
So you cannot tell me that Jeremiah Nenai was the worst player last weekend to deserve being the only one dropped. And if I'm him, I'm filthy.
Oh, I'd be fuming.
I'm absolutely filthy.
To be fair, he ran for 16 meters.
Like, they also defended basically for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. That was in 60 minutes. But yeah.
And, I understand. I get it. He didn't have a great game.
He only missed 3 tackles. And like, that's still a lot. But
I just
Tom
think
Dearden missed 6.
I thought Tom didn't. I must say, I even thought Scotty Drinkwater was rubbish.
Yeah, they were. He ran for 100 meters.
I mean, I thought Tommy Dearden tried really hard, like he always does, and I didn't think Reece Robson played a great game.
No.
So, I just feel
you've called where he only made 1 error. Credit, like you've called it out, Dicko. It's literally a scapegoat move.
I feel like he's gone, okay, I need to make a statement here because the players didn't turn up when I needed them to. I can't drop my captain in Tom Dearden.
Yeah.
Who else can I drop?
He's like, I don't have much depth in my... I think he went, what position is going to be impacted the least by the decision that I make?
Yeah.
And who can I drop that's going to make a statement?
Yep.
And it's gone
it's gone Nenai.
The Queensland second rower.
Yep.
That you've pulled out of your team.
Yep. Who's been good in Origin. And Billy's, I know, Billy Slater's a big fan of him.
Is
So,
is there more to this?
oh, absolutely. His back's against the wall, Todd Payton. I'll give him
Is there
six.
more to it with Jeremiah and I mean,
Oh, I don't think so. I think Todd Payton's feeling the heat. I give him 6 weeks. If they
yeah,
don't perform in 6 weeks, you see you later.
yeah.
Because in all seriousness, their recruiting was woeful this year. They
And
let
then
play.
Robson's going.
Yeah, Robson's going. They can't keep him. They've let players go. They let Val
They don't
Holmes.
have another hooker coming
Well,
either.
they let Val Holmes walk.
Yeah.
They're trying to get well, they were trying to get Jaden Brayley. He didn't want to go up there. They're trying
To
now. He's
what?
gone to
Keep
Canberra.
Taumalolo on $1 million who doesn't even play.
That's exactly right. They're
That,
trying to
that's
get
that's
Tyson
the
Smoothie
problem.
from Brisbane.
That is the problem right there. Taumalolo is on $1 million and isn't even in the team.
Newcastle, are you listening?
Wow.
I mean, yeah, I give Peyton 6 weeks. I have never, and I've told you this before. I've never personally rated him as a coach. He's had a good team. He's
Mhm.
inherited a good team. I just don't. I really fear for the Cowboys. This could be another carve up.
Yeah, I'm worried. I am worried.
Mm.
For the outcome of this game. So I assume that we're going to be locking in
We're looking in the Sharks, mate. We're looking in the Sharks.
the
Sharks,
Sharks.
Sharks should be good.
Yeah.
The only thing is, it's in Townsville. It'll be hot, sticky, humid. It's 4:30 kickoff as well, so it will be hot and humid. They're coming
Yeah.
off the Vegas trip. You know how they're going to go. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll get this done easy.
I don't think that matters. I think the Sharks will win and win well.
Mm.
Lock that in, Dicko. Now, I know that you and I both feel similar about this fixture. We think that the Broncos are going to win. They're
Yeah.
playing the Raiders in Canberra, but you and I both know that this fixture might not be as straightforward as it seems. But what I will say is Joseph Tarpany not playing
Yeah, massive.
almost guarantees Broncos the win.
Oh, geez, I hate it when you talk like that. Oh,
well, it does realistically. Like if Tarpany was playing, this would be are Canberra going to really grind out a result here because that's the only way they're going to get one. But without Joseph Tarpany, I just don't know how they're going to do it. Like their bench
yeah,
is
how are they gonna shut down Paddy Carrigan and Payne Haas?
like their bench is Simi Sasagi, Matty Nicholson, and Mariota, and
Yeah,
Owen Paddy. Like,
and
come
the
on.
Broncos bench last week, I must admit, and Corey Jensen and Xavier Willison were elite. Xavier Willison ran for
How good
100.
was Brendan Piakura, by the
Yeah,
way?
he played well in the 30 seconds he was on the field.
One tackle, one sin bin. See you later.
Xavier Willison ran for 140 meters, I think, in the time he was on the field, on top of the 357 combined that Carrigan and Haas ran for.
They were huge. They were huge. Now, Dicko, in terms of Michael Maguire's tactics, I really want to dive deep
I
into
don't, because I don't want to give anyone else the tactics. No, there you go.
Is it a case of, and I think it's a masterstroke just quietly, because I know Paddy Carrigan wasn't happy with the move, but him playing front row is almost like, Paddy, I don't want you to pass the ball anymore. I want you to run hard and tackle hard. You're not a lock. And I know you can play big minutes. That's my opinion. You can run hard, tackle hard. I don't want you to play that ball playing lock role. I just want you to go as hard as possible for as long as possible because I know you've got a good engine.
He had a try assist on the weekend, though, as the ball playing walk, when he put Jack Gosiewski over. So
Yeah, 100%.
I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
what the rotation looks like is that basically Maguire's gone to Hetherington. I want you to tackle anything that moves for 30 minutes. I want you to spend everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Hetherington's doing. Excellent on the weekend. Tackled, made a bust, line break. I thought he was great. He tackled the grass.
Yeah.
And then what happens then is he brings Hetherington off, and I think Haas comes off as well. Paddy moves back to lock, and he brings Jensen and Willison back onto the field.
Yeah.
So Carrigan is actually still playing more minutes during the game at lock than what he is in the front row. But it's just that initial 30 minutes where he's playing in the front row as a genuine front row. And the other thing that they've done is they've limited Payne Haas taking the suicide run, the first run.
Yeah. This is the best front row in the comp by a country mile.
Yeah.
By a country mile.
Yeah.
And if the Broncos don't make the top four, it'll be a failure.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I mean, they've got to, obviously you got to be blessed with injuries, but
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely. This game does worry me a little bit. I feel like it's one question for both teams. It's which team backs up their impressive performance from round one to best.
Look, I have to give Ricky credit. We gave him a fair bit of stick last year. No pun intended. On paper, their team looks average as,
Mm.
but somehow they win
Hmm.
games of footy and most of the time have a chance of making the eight or make the eight. Last week, we were really high on the Warriors and we got our pants pulled down
Yeah.
by another Ricky Stewart masterclass.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
they were totally and utterly dominant without KO Weeks doing a thing. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Morgan Smithies in lock doesn't get me excited. And that bench for the Raiders, I don't actually know. I don't even know what the plan is there because they're all
Well,
second rowers, in my opinion.
well, this is another game where you just said it before. If Brisbane want to really stamp their top four credentials, they need to win this game. These are the games they've got to take care of. It's all right beating the crap out of the teams that aren't going to feature anywhere near the eight, but the Raiders had a good performance, and from that performance, they've got eyes on the eight. So
Yeah, they'll be up.
these are the games that Brisbane need to win. To
Yeah.
really sort of solidify where they're going. And on the other side of the coin, the Raiders they knock the Broncos off here. Everyone starts thinking, well, hang on a second, well, were we wrong about the
Yeah,
Raiders at the start of the year? So this is
totally. Totally.
I've got this match of the round.
Broncos can't take their foot off the gas.
No, no, no.
They need to go in all guns blazing. Don't. Ricky Stewart purely based on determination, heart, ticker, simple foundations of aggression, kick chase, talent aside, they'll give the Bronx a run for their money.
Yeah, either team doesn't show up, they'll get towed up.
In saying that, Broncos by 20 or more. Eels, Tigers.
Yeah.
This is a replica of the Battle of the Spoon from last season to finish the year. I don't see it happening again this season.
No, I'm confident in this tip, which I've gone.
I got a question here. Bryce Cartwright, where is he?
I thought he was injured.
Because he was named last week, not in the side, but he was in the 22.
Okay, well, obviously he wasn't injured.
Yeah. And has he been named in New South Wales Cup for this weekend? I'm just going to do a quick search while we're on the show here, because in my opinion, based on how they've been going, he has to be in the 17. Something's happened there. Something has happened.
But don't forget, new coach comes in and he's got players that he wants. He likes like the Broncos. Who would have ever thought that Kobe Hezzy?
I'm looking at the side. Okay, I'm going to read you the New South Wales Cup side, Dicko. Number 8, Wiramu Greg. 9, Joey Lussick. 10, Ryan Madison. 11, Kelma Tuolangi. 12, Bryce Cartwright. 13, Charlie Geimer. That's the New South Wales Cup side.
Pretty good New South Wales Cup side, isn't it?
I would argue that it is almost as good as their current forwards that they've named.
So he's obviously done a madge and he's given opportunities to players who have impressed him over the preseason.
See, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I think Madison and Cartwright are in their best 17, personally.
I do not like it at all. I think that Riley Smith, he's a goer. I like Riley Smith.
Yeah, I like the way he went about it. Yep.
But you can't tell me that Katolga, Tuavadi, and Dury are better than Madison, Cartwright, and
no, that's right.
Tuolangi,
That's right. So again, I think
Rumu
statements have been
Greg,
made. I think statements have been made there, and he's obviously those players have obviously impressed him over the preseason.
Yeah. Or is it a case of I'm not really too bothered about results right now? I want to see who wants to put their hand up.
I definitely think that's a That's a good shout for sure. Yeah.
Um, so all that aside, can the Eels beat the Tigers?
I don't think so. I'm pretty confident the Tigers will get up here if they just get a couple of things
Yeah.
right.
Coruscant's in.
Coruscant's in. That was pretty much the deciding factor for me. I think you'll definitely get a bounce back from Parramatta,
Yeah.
but I feel like if the Tigers play the way they played and improve a little bit, I think they'll win this one.
Yeah. I do feel a little bit sorry for old Charlie Staines. Um, I don't I don't know if he's in their top 17, but Stafford Toa hasn't exactly impressed me much. But there is rumours Taylor May
Mm.
might be headed there to join his brother.
Oh, Jareen Buller's back too.
Jareen Buller is back. And tough going Heath Mason because I thought he was pretty good.
Well, Parramatta also need to stop persisting with Zach Lomax at centre. I mean, I saw enough in
Oh,
that game on the
I
weekend.
reckon.
Seriously, he's a world class winger, and
Yeah,
he's an absolute spud of a centre. Seriously, can we
yeah.
can we can we can we not just agree on that? Like everyone,
Agreed. He got carved up. Carved up.
like he couldn't tackle his own shadow for God's sake.
Yeah, it's not ideal. Now, I'm really interested for the last game of the round. Oh, by the way, lock in the Tigers as well.
Yes, lock in the Tigers.
Bulldogs Titans. I am really excited for this game. This for me is the match of the round. Belmore Oval. It's actually just around the corner from my place. I might have to go
Belmore
and have a
Sports Ground.
cheeky watch. It's the only game there this season.
I don't think you'll get in there, mate. To be honest with
Surely it's sold out already.
you.
I will tell you my tip now, just purely on the back of.
Oh, I hope you
Um,
go on. I hope you stick your kahunas where your mouth is.
no, I'm locking in the Bulldogs.
Oh,
I'm bullish about the Titans. The only reason I'm
yeah.
locking the Bulldogs is because this is the only game this season at Belmore. The only game. And they go nuts. And they will be chomping at the bit for victory here. The crowd will be up in the air. They'll be bouncing from the stands for this fixture. In saying that, I am so excited to see the Titans play.
So
And
I'm so excited for the Titans, yet I'm not going to tip them.
no, I'm not. I'm not. The Bulldogs are the real deal. The Bulldogs are a top 8 side. They're the real deal. I think they'll win this game, but it wouldn't shock me if the Titans are purely based on Belmore. If
Josh
it wasn't
Curran
at
back
Belmore, if this is in Gold Coast, I would tip the Titans.
Josh Curran comes back in.
Yep.
I mean, this is what I mean.
David Feeder on the bench for impact. Do you like it? Not like
Oh,
it.
is he? Do you know what? I didn't even see that until right then you said that. Wow. I can only imagine.
How good does the acquisition of Regan Campbell-Gillard just change the dynamic of their side?
I mean, well, what it does is it moves Tino out of the front row where he gets the shit beaten out of him, and it moves him to lock.
Yeah.
Back to where I think he's world class.
I have no idea who Brock Gray is. Haven't heard much about him.
But I'm the Dave Fafita thing. The only thing I can potentially think about is he's dead,
Does he just want to take him out of the heat of that first 20 minutes?
or because he had a limited preseason with his ankle.
Maybe.
But then he played a couple of trial games, so I don't. That's a huge call. I mean, you're playing a guy that much, he shouldn't be sitting on the bench. That's for
I
sure.
like it. I like if he's going to come on at 20 minutes and play the rest of the game.
He has to play 60 minutes, otherwise it's 0 point. It's too much money in your cap.
Is Brimson and Campbell? Obviously, it's the best combination that there's available with King at the back.
Yeah, I'm not convinced on the Titans. I'm not bullish anywhere near. I saw what they dished up against Brisbane in the trial game. Then I saw their next week, which they were very good. And I think you're going to get that this season. I think you're going to have.
Last year, round 1, they played the Bulldogs, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 32-0 to the Bulldogs. And Tino did his ACL.
Yep.
This game, albeit only round 2, but first fixture for the Titans, is bigger than a lot of people think for the Titans. I think this is almost a new chapter for them with a team that arguably will be their team for the future with Kieran Foran out of the side and that experience. This team on paper should realistically be their team for the next 2-3 years.
Mm. Mhm.
If they can't perform with this team, they have nowhere to turn.
Mm.
So this side needs to really assert some authority early,
Yep.
or at least show signs that they have the makings of what could be potentially a top 8 side. Because if they come into this game and get belted, I'll be very worried as a Titans fan.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's you beat the Bulldogs at Belmore, and then all of a sudden, imagine the confidence that brings.
Huge.
You know, your supporters get on board. Then we start talking about, geez, maybe the Titans. You know, maybe the Titans this year. But
Mm.
I'm not convinced. I don't think the Campbell Brimson combination, when the chips get down, who's the general? Where are they looking?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's guiding them?
One more cheeky chat against the Roosters. Satili Tupanua. They
Yeah,
let him go as well.
and I was just when I heard that ages ago, I couldn't believe that because I don't think I've ever seen a guy run a line harder than what he runs. Maybe Liam Martin.
And the bizarre thing is, he did his ACL 2 years ago,
Mm.
and that's why he didn't play. It wasn't because he was rubbish
Mm.
or he wasn't performing or whatever.
Yeah, he was outstanding on the
But
weekend.
he's like on the outer in a side that clearly is lacking forwards now in the Roosters.
Mm-hmm.
I've no idea where their head's at. No idea. And I
Yep.
love it.
Yep.
Um,
I've gone the Bulldogs. I've gone the
Bulldogs?
Yep.
Lock in the Bulldogs, Dicko.
Lock it
Lock in
in.
the
Lock
Bulldogs.
in the Bulldogs.
RL, round 2 preview done. Done and dusted.
Yeah, good.
Are we on a perfect round here? I think we've gone a couple different.
Probably no.
Couple different.
Yeah.
And we've gone different first game. So
Yeah, good.
one of us is going to be off to a flyer, the other one in the dumps.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, well, good luck to everyone on the weekend. Hope you all enjoy the games, and we'll catch you all next week.
See you guys.